Welcome, everybody, and welcome to Take 10 Coaches on Call. I am Holly Fogel, and
And I'm Lori Hamilton. I'm Lori Hamilton.
we're happy to have you join us today. We are starting our halftime series. So,
Ah,
what do we mean by that? Halftime series. Well, we're halfway through 2023,
yeah,
and this is a fantastic time for a business review. And we're
absolutely.
going to do a couple of things. Why don't you tell them kind of the overview of our next few takes here?
So I think when you and I were talking about this, we were talking about halftime series, and I think I told you a while when I first got started in my career many years ago, not just in real estate, but other sales careers. I had a manager who always looked at June as halftime because no matter what you did, January through June, this is the best time for you to come back. He always made a sports analogy, which I related to. I'll admit I can relate to sports analogies. And, he said, this is the best time to come back. You're at halftime. You've got a whole other half to be able to come back and finish out the end of the year strong. So I always look at, June as halftime. We're coming up at the end of second quarter. And as a business owner, you've got to kind of take stock of where you're at. So with this series, we're going to cover like three key points. And today actually, we're going to do the first point, which is we're going to talk about self-assessment. So you're going to self-assess your business and where you're at right now. Our next episode or take, I should say, is going to be, what plays do I need to make? And then based on those self-assessments. And then the third take is going to be about running those plays. So we're going to self-assess first, then we're going to decide on the plays, and then we're going to figure out how to run those plays. So if you're a sports person, you're probably going to relate to this a little bit. But I know that, and even if there's those of you that aren't, you'll definitely catch on. So today we're going to dive into self-assessing your business, yourself and your business. So you have a great tool that you've used over the last few years when you're working with coaching clients. And we're taking 4 elements from that self-assessment. And we're going to talk about those today. So I'll let you kind of start it off and explain how you do this, and then we'll take out 4 key points.
Great. That's a great overview. I love that. And one of my whole strategies is another sports analogy, and that is let's play ball, which is all about working with your buyer clients and taking them around the baseball diamond. So I'm not that much of a sports person. I'm trying to figure out how I can incorporate pickleball and tennis, but I haven't figured that out yet.
Oh
But I'll
gosh.
work on that.
Yeah, we'll
I'll
figure
work
it
on that.
out.
So what happened was as I started my coaching, business almost 10 years, I think it has been 10 years ago
Yeah.
now. Wow. 10 or 13 years. Wow, time flies. But when I started that, I realized that I didn't want to treat everyone the same. And I needed to have some kind of mechanism so that people could self-reflect on their own skill level so that I knew their perception. And what I did was I came up with these 12 key areas that as I ran my real estate business, these are the areas that I dove into and tried to master. And once I was able to get really strong in these 12 key areas, that's where, the improvement came. That's
Yep.
where the consistency came. That's what took away a lot of fear in running a commission-based business. So these became near and dear to me. And the other thing was, I wanted to make sure that I was able to help people in areas that I felt I was skilled. So these
Yeah.
12 areas are areas that I mastered. Over the years, I've probably mastered a little bit more into like databases and things like that, that might not be reflected so much on here. So I have kind of expanded where I coach. And then, of course, I went into that whole ULA framework, which is and the positive intelligence, which is, the brain and how the brain works and all that fun stuff. So, but this one for real estate agents, I think is just, it's perfect. And if you focus on these areas, I know that you can have a lot of success. So we're going to go ahead and share the document on the screen today. We're going to make this tool available in Coaches on Call in the file section. So if you hop on Facebook and look for Coaches on Call, we will upload this into the file section there. And then on Instagram, it'll be on our link tree as one of our free resources that you can grab. If you can't, for some reason, find us, you can always reach myself at holly@the1hourcoach.com or Lori@centermember.com. So lots of ways to find us
Mhm.
and to find this tool. And I hope that you will take the time to really give each area of this the thought that it really needs in order to give yourself the proper grade of 1 to 10. So you're close to 120, that means you're probably running a great business. If you're, 70 or lower, let's see which areas, you have those lower scores. Try not to use number 7. 7's kind of a cop-out score. If you're an 8, 9, or a 10, I always say that.
Why do
Don't
you
use
say, okay,
numbers.
wait a second. Why do you say 7 is a cop-out score? Out of
Well,
curiosity, asking for a friend who always puts
yeah,
down a 7. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So the whole thing was 7, and I don't know where I heard this, but I heard this from someone, and they said that subconsciously you'll give yourself a rating. Like it's most people, when asked of a 1 to 10, 7 is that safe level that you subconsciously put yourself that says, I'm not that bad, but I'm not that good. When you go to
Okay.
when you go to an 8, that's kind of like you're pretty close to 10. And 8 means I don't need that much work. Like I feel pretty good. But when people are unsure, that safest number is 7. And that's one that people tend to ignore because it's not that bad, but it's not that good. 8
Cool.
tells me, like when people fill this out and then return it to me, the 8, 9s, and 10s are areas that we put on the back burner. But see, once you get to 6 or below, you're not getting the returns on that activity that are really going to add to the improvement of your business.
Mm.
So when you remove that 7, that is more of, okay, 6, like you really do need to work on it. So you're
Yeah.
kind of, but don't you feel like when you think about
That
that, how
makes so much sense. I can't tell you how many times either when I work with new agents, we do something similar to this. It's not as advanced as this tool. And yeah, when you're doing, I see a lot of 7s, and that makes 100% so much more sense to me, because it's like you're in, but you're not all in. You're like, yeah, I'm good. But it's almost like you're thinking, I don't really need to work on it to make it better, you know? So I like that. So avoid 7s. I like that. I like it a lot.
Yep, avoid 7s. So that's my little tip from that. And this is a real basic kind of form. I'm basic. Could I pretty this up? Sure, I could. Am I going to? No.
No. We'll get somebody else to put that in Canva or something. I don't know.
Exactly. I am not I don't want to be a creative person. I want to help people improve on
Yeah,
their business, really.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
most people know everything from me is going to be pretty basic. So this is our basic self-assessment for 2023, and what a great time. We are at the halfway point, like Lori said. And all you're going to do is look through these 12 areas and give yourself, honestly, an evaluation of 1 to 10 without using 7. So we're not going to go through each of these. We want to give you the opportunity to take your time to do that. But there's a few that I think are really instrumental and are pretty important as you look at where you're at this year. So we're just going to dive into a couple of these and give you a couple things maybe to think about. And this might help you as you start evaluating some of the other numbers, where we're coming from when we talk about these. So Lori, let's talk with number 5. So I'll read it and then kind of give me, your take, and I'll add a little bit to it. So number 5 is, I have a
Okay.
lender that I work closely with, and we have met to set expectations on the approval process. I have a checklist from my lender that I can post on my dashboard of my clients and can figure up approximate monthly payments based on sales prices for my buyers. So kind of let's start to unpackage that.
Okay, so first thing I look at when I read that is who your lender is probably your first go-to affiliate partner. And then I start thinking, who else is an affiliate partner with me? And then it brings me to, do I have a team in place? But it kind of starts with the lender, right? You need to have your go-to lender. You and I are on the same page. And if anybody is in doubt, go back and watch our very first episode about you're not in violation of RESPA by only having one person that you recommend. But you need to have that lender as a lending partner so that when you send your people to them, the exact process that that lender operates from. That what they say, if they can get them approved, they are good to go. You need to have 100% confidence that that lender that you chose, and anybody else on your team, lenders, closing attorneys, home inspectors, all of those people you have developed relationships with, and they're going to deliver for you and give your clients the best experience. That's what that says to me. If you just have a lender, or you're like, I recommend 2 or 3, and then people talk to them, and then maybe they go on their own and find their own lender, you're at a 1. I'm sorry, you're at a 1 on that. On a scale of 1 to 10, you're at a 1. You are just sort of letting your buyers just run on their own, not run ragged, but run on their own. And you can have some really good influence in a positive way to give them a good experience and make sure you're getting them to their goal of getting them through the transaction and facilitating it. So it's not just the lender, but then start thinking more. Do you have a team? Maybe you do have a lender and you've developed that relationship, and then all of a sudden most people are going to that lender. Great. I'm giving you a 3 there. Let's start developing your team, because you need to have other people in place. That's
Absolutely.
my 2 cents.
I love that. And I think, clients are looking for agents that can deliver the entire experience. Like, there's so many nuances to purchasing a home. They need, they're gonna look for outside resources in almost 27 different ancillary areas when they go through the buying and selling process. And the more that you can provide them and guide them and lead them and protect them, the greater the experience they're going to have with you, in turn is going to promote more referrals. So I'm a big fan of enhancing the client experience, because experience is what people refer. It's not necessarily the outcome. Anybody can, I mean, not anybody, but anybody with a license, I guess, has the ability to help someone buy or sell a house, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be a great experience. So when we talk about this team approach, you should have something on your website with Meet the Team. You should have a whole brochure. So we're going to go into this, if this is one of your plays, on how to execute this and how to get this. The other thing that I think is really important is that with interest rates going through a change, I think it's really important that you have some additional information that you're able to impart to your clients about the interest rates going up and the different loan programs that are there. So making sure that you have that skill set and that knowledge, that's going to come from having a really great relationship with a lender that provides you weekly updates on what's happening, new programs that they may be coming in contact with. A couple of months ago, they were talking about how it was going to cost people with better credit more to get a house than people with bad credit, and how jumbled that information was, and how a lot of that was kind of taken out of context. So I think having that really strong partner is really important. And it's the same thing for a home inspector or a title company or a closing attorney. If we're not providing the unexpected extras, then what's the big deal about them using an agent? Like, they already know how to find houses. They find the house anyway. We're not the gatekeepers of the information. So what are you layering on top that's making you stand out and be the attractive choice that makes total sense? Like, of course, I'm going to use a realtor because the realtor is going to provide me with all the other all the other things that I need to make sure that this is a smooth transition, and you actually achieve those goals.
Having a team behind you is truly a value add. Like we always talk about, stand apart, be different, and promote your team. There's a team behind you that's helping you lead, guide, and protect your people, like you said.
Love it. So give
Yes.
yourself some thought on number 5. So the next one we want to kind of just spend a couple minutes talking about, I think is very relevant as we're going through some market transitions, and that's number 6. So let me go ahead and read that one, and then let's get your initial take, Lori. So number 6,
Okay.
my listing conversation material is complete, and I feel comfortable calculating absorption rates, evaluating home values, and using the 7-step pricing strategy. I can interpret tax records and complete all the necessary paperwork to enter a listing for where you are. So what are your thoughts there just on the whole pricing conversation?
So I think pricing is a skill that you definitely have to constantly work on, because your listing presentation / conversation changes with the market. I think that with the market we are in now was different than 2020 and 2021. The conversations that you need to learn to have have changed, and you've got to show your competency and be able to deliver the information and articulate it so that these sellers start to gain agreement with you, and then also they're self-discovering along with you when you're showing them all of this information. I think people or agents, I should say, not people, agents will sometimes maybe not go into so much depth on pricing, but it really truly is something that you have to learn to master. Are you going into FMLS and just doing a quick CMA? Are you using the CMA wizard, or do you actually show logical and tangible data to sellers when you're at that kitchen table or that standing at that kitchen island with them, so that you're showing them the whole scope of values, showing the values, interpreting the data on your own, and being able to articulate it? That is a skill that takes some mastery, and that takes a while. So when you talk about that, I kind of almost look at it, it's like it's 2 skills there. Your listing conversation is one thing, and then finding the data, interpreting it, and being able to articulate it is another. I think maybe that's always something as a work in progress, but there's still some, when I think about a listing appointment, I think that like the cornerstones in there are always going to remain the same. Do you know your marketing plan? Sometimes you're going to change up your marketing plan, of course, but if you've got your marketing plan, you can explain the process, and then the pricing part of it. If you can make sure you've got all of those 3 at all times, you're still going to constantly evaluate them every year.
Love that.
That's what I'm thinking when I say that. I feel like a lot of people could look at it and go, maybe I'm a 4 or 5.
And I think on first glance, if you don't really peel apart the different concepts of, gathering the data, and then how does it sound when you actually articulate the data, is there self-discovery involved? Is it logical? Is it tangible? I think that is so important because, even the NAR statistics say that the number 1 area that sellers want and expect assistance is in pricing. And if you really think about it, isn't that the most important thing to every seller?
Absolutely. It is. They want to know. They're like, sometimes I feel like they're waiting with bated breath for you to get to the point and talk about what the values are. I want to know, what do you think I can sell it for? They've got a price in their head. You and I have always talked about this. They've got a price in their head. They've either been on Zillow or they're watching their neighborhood. They've got a price in their head. And it's almost like they want to see if you can match that. I've always felt like that. I always felt like, I bet they're wanting to see if I can match that price. And sometimes maybe you guys are close, sometimes maybe you're way apart. So you do have to know your stuff, and you do need to be able to pull that data correctly.
And I think this is an area that is not practiced enough. I think a lot of folks, depending on the environment and the culture and the brokerage of where they're at, a lot of people can be taught from tech people at the MLS companies that are only teaching you how to use a program that's in there that is almost the same thing as clients going to Zillow. So we'll sit there and say Zestimates aren't accurate, but then we go turn around and go to the MLS and create the same exact reports by just clicking putting a bunch of check marks and hitting calculate, So there's so much in here. And, you and I teach the 7-step pricing strategy.
Yep.
Very, constantly. And it's a lot of the same folks that come back to that because it is such a strong skill that I think is probably one of the most important. And if you can get that healthy relationship right in the beginning, right out of the gate with something that's so important to the client, and they actually self-discover it, boy, what a healthy dynamic you've created between you and your client. And taking people through that artfully is just a beautiful skill. And I'd really be critical of your skill set and really think about, have you ever overpriced? Have you had any withdrawals? Have you had any expireds? How many showings till you get an offer? Really kind of take some time in this area when you're grading yourself to really think about it. Because there's a lot of improvement that even some of the best folks can gain by really getting in here and practicing and understanding some really powerful tools that are out there. All right, so are you there? I think we had a little freezing moment. Oh no, we're frozen. Lori's frozen. Well, I'm gonna keep going here, and she'll catch back up in a second. So that was number 6 on here. We are gonna hop to number 8, which is also real important because 8 kind of meets the rubber with the road. And so we missed half of our, here she comes back. So number 8 is I have a schedule of lead generating activities that I complete each week to effectively grow my business. I write down my tasks, results, and activities weekly to stay on track. I know how I want to get buyers and sellers, and I know the specific activities to generate those prospects. So Lori's back. So what do you kind of unpackage or think about when you look at number 8?
I think a lot of times with this sort of takes you back to really what you have, your activities that you're doing every day. And do you know the activities that you need to do? Like, what are your lead generating activities? Do you know the number of contacts you need to make every day? Are you having those real estate conversations every day that are eventually going to turn into something? Are you consistently doing these activities 4 or 5 days a week? Do you have time carved out to lead generate? Because as a business owner, that's what you have to do. You've got to find those people. You've got to find those buyers and sellers. And you're also loving on your people and keeping in touch with your sphere to be able to generate referrals. And I think where the rubber meets the road here, like if you're not lead generating, you can't even convert anything. So do you have that time, and do you know your activities, and are you spending your time on the money-making activities that you need to be doing? Let's not do the fake work. Let's not worry about creating marketing messages or postcards or things like that. Let's look at exactly what those money-making activities are, and are they scheduled into your weekly work schedule?
This is probably where you spend a lot of time. I mean, we could put this as number 1, couldn't we? Because if you don't lead generate and convert, then you never get the opportunity to be a realtor. So, I've kind of said this a lot with folks. there's 4 areas of your business. There's the lead generating, the lead converting, the client care, and the personal development. And the lead generating and lead converting is really the business owner activities. And then you get to really be in realtor mode when you actually have clients and you're working on personal development. So these go hand in hand. And I think everyone needs to, really get clear about what activities they want to commit to, what their schedule is going to look like. So that activities management system is critical. The next layer that I think is the most important is that we have the statistics and the numbers available to give you the exact clarity and focus of how many contacts it takes before you're going to have a buyer or a seller. And then we tell you exactly what you get to count as a contact. So when you have that clarity, focus, and direction, there's really, we know why people fail. It's because they never take action. So the ones that take action day in, day out, week in, week out, they always win. There's never any doubt to it. So you really have to get grounded and committed in this. So this is a really key area. This is probably the biggest area that I actually coach people in, is in this whole LG and LC world of lead generation and lead conversion, because it's the most important, because finding and attracting are 2 of the hardest things that you'll ever do when you're a business owner in commission sales.
Absolutely. I probably would have just said everything you said, Holly.
Well, everything you said was great too. So you said about the same things.
No, sorry. I'm back again. So sorry to disappear on y'all.
Lori's just hopping in and out today. This is what we call technology.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right. So the final area that we want to talk about, just from the business tool here, of course, there's 12 areas and we would love for you to grab this and go through them all. But we did not only lead generating and lead converting, but you need to be organized. So we were going to just touch a second on number 12, and I'll go ahead and read it. And then Lori, give me your thoughts. I have a monthly marketing action plan set up for the next 12 months. This includes monthly newsletters, deals of the week and month, Facebook ads, notifications when I sell a house, notifications when I list, past and current clients, they're on saved searches. You're a contact initiator. And it falls into lead generation, lead conversion, but this really gets down to more of the schedule and your full commitment. We're looking for 5-year commitments in your 3 to 5 sales channels. So what do you think, Lori, on this part?
I think about this monthly marketing plan. I don't want people to get scared and be like, oh, I've got to go spend an exorbitant amount of money on generating online leads and, sending all the postcards. I think when we look at where you do need to improve, and if monthly marketing is not one of your things, this is really about the consistency, because honestly, wherever you are focusing, like it talks about deals of the week, this honestly, when you're getting in front of people so that they don't forget who you are, and you're showing that competency and that character, this gets where you get to demonstrate who you are and your skills in this industry. That's how I start thinking about marketing. And what am I doing out there? Not just to lead generate, because some of your marketing is going to help you lead generate, but it's keeping top of mind with people. Are you staying in touch with your past clients? Are you staying in touch with your sphere? How are you doing that? Are you showing them that no matter what their situation is, you want to be their go-to person in real estate? Do they know that? So to me, monthly marketing, it's all encompassing. And yeah, are we bringing in digital marketing? Of course, you're going to be complacent. You're going to kind of get left behind if you don't start embracing the digital world of marketing, whether that's on social media or any other ways. So when you're looking at that, if you're looking at what you've done in the past, and maybe you're going to have to get it from even a 5 or a 6 to a 10, that's where I would start thinking about, how am I showing my character and competency and educating people out there, and staying in front of my people and staying top of mind.
I like that. And I think at the most fundamental level of number 12, it lets me, it lets you, it lets the individual know, am I all in? Am I serious? Do I have a plan? I mean, how many people open up a business and just wing it? I mean, if you
Oh,
go
yeah.
and invest in the lease on a building and then you get signage and you have no plan, first of all, can you even get a business loan if you don't even submit a plan?
You can't.
No. So to me, it's like, if you have nothing in here, just admit it and then let's fix it because this is the foundation to how serious are you? You know, are you really going to run a business and have a long-term business that's profitable over time where you have a great life with no cap on your income? Or are you just going to wing it? And I think so many people just think they can wing it. And that's why the failure rate, unfortunately, is so high for folks getting into real estate. And it's really sad, but it all starts with a plan.
It
So
is.
really look at your plan, look at yourself and be honest here. Because the more honest you are, that's where, you know, the second half, when you start picking your plays, you're going to pick the plays that are going to help you benefit the most. And some of the ones that Lori and I talked about here today are some of the ones that we find to be the most important, you know, in really getting you more and more success. So we're going to wrap up now. Look for our next take, which will be take 11, and that'll be on the play selection based off of what you have figured out in your self-assessment. So we really hope you'll get your hands on this tool. Take about an hour to go through each of these, really take it seriously. You know, if you've started out slow, you don't have to finish slow.
You don't.
You know, that's the thing is that this is all in your hands. And a great start would be look at your year over year, you know, numbers. What did you do up through June in 2022, 2021, 2019? If this is your first year, you know, let's make the last half of the year fantastic. And we're going to be talking about, you know, all kinds of different strategies to help you do that. But take the first step on this halftime assessment, and we hope that this will be a tool that's very useful. So you want to wrap it up for us, Lori?
Yeah, you said it really well. Look at this scale of 1 to 10, no sevens. Be completely honest with yourself. It is a great assessment to assess where you are. You know, forget that first half even happened. If you're not happy with it, or maybe you are happy with it and on track, you still have, but you have the better half of this year to make up for it. And you know what? It's maybe not even about making up for it, but you know what? This actually helps you put a plan to get off that roller coaster and grow that sustainable business that you've been wanting to grow. And this will take you through the year, but it'll also take you through next year as well.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Lori, and
All
thank you
right.
for
Yeah,
joining
thank
us,
you, Holly.
everybody, today. We'll see you all on Take 11 coming out soon.
Talk to you later.